deep within the uncatalogued sectors, where salt crusts over forgotten sorrows, certain files resonate with the chilling energy of the abyss. Tonight, we draw forth 3 such records from the shadowed depths of Room 404, each bound by the unforgiving theme of maritime horror. It was December 1924. The Watertown sailed from New York City, bound for New Orleans via the Panama Canal, her holds laden with crude oil. Thus far, the passage had been uneventful. Aboard were 2 crew members, James Courtney and Michael Meehan. It was their first voyage on the Watertown, though both were seasoned mariners. Courtney, a formidable Irishman. Meehan, purportedly of gypsy heritage. Unaware of the doom awaiting them, their assigned task, scrubbing an empty cargo hull in the aft hold. A routine duty, yet fraught with unseen peril within the confined space. Tragically, the peril manifested. Overcome by noxious gas and oil fumes, both men perished before aid could reach them. Meehan was found first. Courtney draped over him. A final futile attempt at rescue etched grimly in their positions. The ship's doctor officially declared them deceased at 13:07 hours. Resuscitation efforts proving utterly fruitless. As was the grim custom of the sea, burial followed swiftly. That same day, off the coast of Mexico, their shrouded bodies were committed to the deep. There was no practical means of preserving the deceased aboard such a vessel. Some accounts note a stark, unsettling absence. No final word spoken over the departed. A detail suggesting perhaps unease amongst the crew, or a heavy shroud of guilt. The following day, as dusk approached, the haunting began. Crew members swore they witnessed it. The faces of Courtney and Meehan, distinct and unmistakable, materializing in the waves off the port side. Lingering for 5, perhaps 10 seconds, before simply dissolving back into the churning water. This phenomenon persisted. Day after day, other crew members recognized the spectral visages, either in the waves or the foam created by the ship as it sailed. Some even claimed to have seen their faces appearing, fleetingly, aboard the ship itself. This continued until the voyage concluded in New Orleans. Captain Keith Tracy duly reported the accident and the subsequent, deeply strange occurrences. The city's service company's reaction was unexpected. Rather than dismissing the claims as delusion or sea tales, they suggested Captain Tracy attempt to document the phenomena on the return journey, an effort to capture the impossible. The first mate was dispatched, returning with a camera, a Kodak Model F Brownie box, and film. As the SS Watertown steamed back towards New York, the spectral faces reappeared in the restless water. This time, Captain Tracy was prepared. Camera in hand, he captured 6 images of the apparitions. He then secured both the camera and the exposed film within the ship's safe, accessible only to him. Determined that nothing should compromise this potential evidence. As time passed on the voyage, the appearances of Courtney and Meehan became less and less frequent, fading perhaps, like disturbed echoes. Upon reaching their destination, New York City, Captain Tracy turned the film and camera over to the city's service company. The film was processed by a professional commercial photographer. 5 exposures revealed nothing remarkable. merely waves and sea foam. The sixth photograph, however, was profoundly different. It clearly showed the faces of the two deceased crewmen etched hauntingly upon the water's surface. Seeking validation, the photographs and their negatives were sent to the Burns Detective Agency for analysis. Their conclusion: the images had not been tampered with. They were, as far as could be determined, authentic. The original negatives were subsequently lost to time, though copies of the infamous photograph persist, circulating still in the digital ether. Intriguingly, once the Watertown's original crew was changed, the sightings ceased entirely. The spectral faces were seen no more. Was it because a new crew, unfamiliar with Courtney and Mian, would simply fail to recognize them if they appeared? Or did the troubled spirits of the dead sailors finally find peace, their reason for haunting the vessel extinguished once the original witnesses had departed? Questions linger, unanswered, dissolving into the vast, indifferent ocean, like the faces themselves. Resuming passenger service post-war, the era of the grand ocean liner waned with the rise of air travel. The Queen Mary completed her final journey in 1967. Retired, yet defiant of oblivion, she remains permanently moored in Long Beach, California. A spectral monument serving as a hotel and tourist attraction. A vessel, some claim, where not a single deck is untouched by the echoes of the past. Among the ship's most paranormally active zones is Shaft Alley, deep within the vessel's metallic heart, an engine room area haunted by a presence known, almost affectionately, by the grim moniker Half Hatch Harry. His true name was John Pedder, an 18-year-old engine room firefighter whose life ended abruptly, violently, in 1966. The tragedy involved one of the massive, watertight seal doors, designed to isolate sections of the ship in emergencies. During a routine fire drill, John Pedder was caught, crushed, by door number 13. Reports state he was effectively severed, hence the chilling nickname. How this occurred remains puzzling, the heavy doors requiring a full 60 seconds to close completely. He endures as the Queen Mary's most famous, most active spectral resident, often sighted wearing his blue, grease-stained coveralls, a hint of a beard on his eternally young face. He walks the shaft, only to vanish abruptly near the fateful door number 13. One visitor, aware of the tale, reportedly challenged the spirit teasingly. As he and his wife passed door 13, a powerful sensation of being watched overcame them. Suddenly, the man felt something brush his face. Turning, his wife saw it clearly. A distinct smear of grease, exactly where he'd been touched. The ship's swimming pools, once centers of vibrant activity, also seem reluctant to relinquish their past. Visitors report hearing the distinct sounds of splashing water. When the pools are entirely empty, still, and dark. At other times, spectral swimmers clad in fashions from the 1930s through the 60s are glimpsed. Phantom echoes enjoying the water just as they did in life. Primarily, these phenomena center around the opulent first-class swimming pool. A young girl named Jackie reportedly drowned in one of the pools. Her spirit, it seems, remains, she's seen playing near the water's edge. Her laughter and singing allegedly captured during EVP sessions. Jackie often leaves behind a more tangible sign. Small, wet footprints appearing inexplicably on the dry decks. Yet, the changing rooms adjacent hold a darker tale. That of Sarah, a young woman said to have been brutally murdered there. Visitors report hearing inconsolable sobbing and witnessing fleeting shadows. Some even claim this area acts as a paranormal vortex. Perhaps the most intensely haunted single location aboard is room B340, the smallest cabin. It is no longer offered to guests. Sealed off after reports of escalating phenomena, possibly linked to a past murder within its confines. Initial hauntings were frightening. Faucets and lights operating independently, bedsheets violently thrown across the room. But the activity reportedly grew more malevolent. Voices emanating from the darkness, commanding occupants to get out. The room's energies were deemed too violent, too unpredictable, necessitating its permanent closure. Even the exterior hull carries scars. In 1942, the Grey Ghost collided with HMS Curacoa. The escort sank in minutes. 300 souls lost. Passengers near the bow report being jolted awake by horrifying sounds. Phantom screams, tearing metal, rushing water. Replays of disaster etched into the sea's memory. From the engine room depths to the grand salons, from sealed cabins to the open decks, the Queen Mary remains a vessel saturated with spectral residents. A floating chronicle of lives lived, ended abruptly, or simply unwilling to depart. The echoes are numerous, and some, perhaps, are less benign than others. Before her construction was even complete, a dark omen manifested. 3 men perished in the engine room, overcome by sudden diesel fumes. The cause never found. Merely a week after launch, tragedy struck again. A steel beam's chains inexplicably failed, crashing down, killing one worker instantly, fatally injuring another. Inspection revealed no defect. Then, during sea trials, the storm claimed a crewman swept overboard, lost forever to the waves. Later, a diving test went awry. A flooded ballast tank contaminated the batteries, releasing toxic gas once more into the engine room, the site of the first deaths, claiming 2 more lives. The vessel refused to surface initially, until frantic repairs allowed ascent. Another test, another critical ballast tank leak. U-boat 65 plunged to the seabed, unable to surface, oxygen dwindling. For 12 agonizing hours, the crew fought desperately against their iron tomb, barely repairing the tank before suffocation claimed them all. Reaching the surface, breathing precious fresh air, the conviction grew amongst the men. U-boat 65 was cursed. The sentiment solidified when, during torpedo loading, one inexplicably exploded. Several crewmen were grievously injured. Second Officer Lieutenant Richter was killed. January 1918. U-boat 65 prowled the English Channel. The starboard lookout, alone on the conning tower, reported a figure on the deck below. An officer where none should be. All other hatches were sealed. As the lookout stared, the figure shouted a warning, then turned. The lookout froze, recognizing the face instantly. Second Officer Lieutenant Richter was killed weeks prior. The lookout's terrified screams brought the captain rushing, but the deck was empty. A ghostly warning, or merely duty echoing beyond death. Richter's phantom was seen again. A crewman burst into the wardroom, claiming the second officer had just boarded. The captain, skeptical, found another sailor trembling by the conning tower, swearing he'd seen the officer float up the gangplank and vanish towards the bow. He appeared in the engine room, examining panels before dissolving. He stood impassively on the conning tower amidst a violent storm, untouched by the raging elements. The captain's skepticism began to erode, until one stormy night, surfacing, a lookout spotted Richter again on the wave-swept deck. He cried out. The captain, determined to quell the ridiculous stories, rushed to the hatch. Peering out into the tempest, there was no denying the figure standing there. Lieutenant Richter, visible to his own eyes. Word spread. Fear gripped the U-boat fleet. No one wished assignment to the haunted U-boat 65. The rumors reached German high command. Unamused, they dispatched a skeptical commodore to debunk the tales. He meticulously interrogated the crew and became convinced they were seeing the ghost. On his recommendation, U-boat 65 was removed from service. While docked in Belgium, a Lutheran pastor was reportedly brought aboard to perform an exorcism. Afterwards, deemed cleansed, the U-boat returned to duty with a fresh crew, and strict orders forbidding any mention of ghosts. The peace, however, was short-lived. May 1918, sightings resumed. An officer pursued a shadowy figure into the torpedo room, only to find it utterly empty, escape impossible. The submarine's torpedo gunner then descended into madness, claiming the ghost tormented him relentlessly. His violent breakdown necessitated restraint. Days later, surfacing, he slipped free, threw himself into the unforgiving ocean, and vanished forever. July 10, 1918. An American submarine spots U-boat 65 on the surface, listing seemingly damaged. As the US vessel prepared to attack, an officer observed a figure standing on the German U-boat's deck, clad in an officer's overcoat, arms folded, deep in thought. Moments later, before the Americans fired, U-boat 65 erupted in a catastrophic explosion. No other vessels were near, the cause officially uncertain. None of the 37 crew survived. Their bodies were never recovered. The wreckage itself remained lost until 2004. Strangely, examination revealed no signs of external weapon damage or internal torpedo malfunction. The mystery endures. Was U-boat 65 cursed? Did the American witness its infamous ghost in its final moments? What truly caused the fatal blast? Questions swallowed by the deep, leaving only the chilling certainty that this iron coffin was profoundly haunted. 3 vessels, 3 distinct echoes retrieved from the unforgiving depths, phantoms etched onto water, a grand liner saturated with spectral residue, an iron coffin seemingly consumed by active malevolence. The sea, it appears, holds myriad forms of haunting within its crushing embrace. These records, recovered from the dust and silence of room 404, offer but fleeting glimpses into that vast, indifferent darkness. Fragments of tragedies the waves strive constantly to erase. Yet, The archives remember even that which lies submerged, forgotten, unfound. The echoes fade for now, but the presence lingers, doesn't it? If these glimpses into the abyss resonate, consider subscribing to Room 404. There are countless more whispers waiting to be heard. Signal your presence with a like. Perhaps share what lingers in your mind below. Be cautious. The darkness listens back.